So a coworker, Grumbo, was working on a big project where they were growing frustrated with SQL. SQL, as you might know, is a full-featured query language that allows software to communicate back and forth with a database. One of the properties of SQL is that it forces its users to decide on the tabular structure of their data up front. Changes to the data structure call for changes to the underlying tabular structure. If, for example, you have a table that looks like ID, name, phone number, weight, and you want to add a new column, height, you must modify the table to support the height column before adding height data to each row. In order to present an interface to other developers that they could use without having to learn SQL, Grumbo thought that they would create a new kind of data store for the application, one that would act as a simple key value store. The key value table allowed users to put any serializable data into any key. Convenient, right? Now people working with the database didn't need to fuss with table definitions. They could just plop any data they wanted in there. Now here's where things start to go off the rails a little bit. Grumbo was a good software developer, the kind of person who thinks ahead and tries to build abstract interfaces that can serve any purpose. So they thought, what if developers want to divide their keys up into separate collections? If you're searching for, say, employees, you don't want account records showing up in your search. What if Grumbo were to include rules that allow developers to define a schema for their data? They can define the schema up front, and then the backend can automatically validate that the data matches the schema that has been defined. Convenient. Now, some of you might be noticing what's happening here. Grumbo was accidentally designing a database, and they were doing it on top of an existing database. If they had kept going, they might have started to add things like, relationships between data elements or indexes on specific rows in the data to make them easier to search. They might have even gone so far as to define a domain-specific language that would allow them to query the data without even having to write code. A structured query language. SQL. This is the inner platform effect at play, when software developers get so lost in the sauce that they accidentally build a smaller, crappier version of the thing they were working on in the first place.